Hi everyone, welcome to the section on unemployment. And probably out of all the things we talk about in economics as we're building this process through learning more about macroeconomics and how the economy works, I think the unemployment rate is something that will impact you throughout your time. Because what happens when you look at the unemployment rate is it really impacts how you're going to spend money, you're going to make decisions in the economy. It's going to make looking at how you judge the labor market, how confident you are. So there's a lot of things we want to focus on. And one of the tricks that this week you want to look at is we are going to be looking at different types of individuals and how these different types of individuals are classified in our economy. And there are three types of individuals that we're going to look at. The first one we're going to look at is employed. So anyone that's employed is anyone that's working at least 4 hours per week. It could include anyone that's full-time, part-time workers, but you'll notice that at least the government defines anyone working at least 4 hours a week is employed. The challenge that you're facing with regard to that is it's very difficult for someone to survive on 4 hours a week income. So when the unemployment rate is reported, keep that in mind. It's only focused on people that are working at least 4 hours per week. The next type of individuals that we focus on are people that are unemployed. People that are unemployed and defined by the Department of Labor is anyone that is 16 years or older who's actively seeking a job. That's what's key to that. People that are actively seeking a job. Now, what you want to note that students get very confused about is if people are looking at people that are not working and maybe they're just sitting around, they're not looking for a job, that does not mean they're unemployed. People that are unemployed have to be actively searching for a job. So people that are unemployed, they're available for work. They tried to find some type of employment, or they're looking to be called back for a job. Now, the other type of individuals, there's three types of individuals, are people that are not in the labor force, people that don't want a job, people that are full-time students, people that are stay-at-home mom and dads, people that are retirees, people that just don't want a job at all. You'll see that those people are not in the labor force. Now, the labor force will only include people that are working and looking for a job. That's key. You're going to see a lot of questions on this. And the questions you're going to see are going to be related to, for example, Joe is a full-time student. Is Joe part of the labor force? No. Or I'm sorry, I'll give you a better example. Joe's a full-time student that's not working and not actively looking for a job. Is Joe part of the labor force? No. Joe would not be part of the labor force, even though he's not working. Okay, here's another example. Steve, who is employed as an accountant, was laid off and now is looking for another job as an accountant. What is Steve? Well, Steve would be classified as unemployed and part of the labor force. So just key in on who's part of the labor force. The labor force includes anyone that's working and anyone that's looking for a job. Here's an example in January 2016. And I just brought this example up as I think you'll find it very interesting. Our big focus always in the economy is how many people are unemployed. So look at this right here. We have 151 million people that are employed. We have 95 million people that are not in the labor force. And look at this small component right here. You got 8 million people that are unemployed. This is the labor force right here. So when you look at the unemployment rate and the unemployed workers, because that's always our biggest component is the unemployed workers, they make up a very small percentage of the overall amount that we're looking at. But these are the focus that we look at, the unemployed workers. So when we look at the unemployment rate is calculated by taking the amount of unemployed individuals times the labor force. Number of unemployed workers divided by the labor force. It's not divided by the population. So currently, the unemployment rate is 3.7%. That means 3.7% of everyone in the labor force, remember, the labor force includes employed and unemployed, do not have a job and are actively seeking a job. Very small percentage. Now that is this component that I wanted to show you on this this part was just looking at how do we define the labor force and the components of the labor force and how the unemployment rate is calculated. For our next video, I'm going to be focusing on the trends in the unemployment rate and how the government makes decisions.